Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to address probably one of the most important topics for all of you. And I've been asked this question many times. I've been asked this question probably each time people go through a certain cycle or they feel like they're going through a certain cycle of refinement. So, how do we feel when karmic residue or karma dissolves? Or how do you know that the karmic cycle is over? Because people will tell you that you can manifest change, you can imagine, you can work with feelings, but yet results are not permanent. And why they're not permanent is because you haven't emptied, and you cannot fool your consciousness, because it is consciousness that manifests each and every experience. It manifests your body every moment. It manifests every experience. It manifests all the circumstances and people and the way you feel towards these people. So the most important to realize is that we cannot force the dissolution of the cycle. And the dissolution is not external circumstances changing right away. The dissolution of any karmic cycle starts from the dissolution of the feeling that creates it, that wave, that desire, that idea, that narrative. And the feeling, the desire, and the idea are all together. That's the perpetuum mobile, or the engine that propels into the manifestation and constant circumstances, or bringing people or attracting people towards you that would invoke certain feelings. So you're basically working with the energy waves. And so these energy waves have to be dissolved from within. So the real refinement is not about just thinking or letting go on the mental level. It's more about observing the feelings and working with letting go of the feelings. And for most of the people at this point of our cycle, current cycle, day and age, is to realize self-worth, because we've been dissolved, fragmented, dispersed throughout the collective energy field or pool. And we are not well aware of our self-worth, at least not on the level of perception, feeling. We are wrapped up in the collective residue, all our ancestral emotions, ideologies, belief systems, narratives. And so we're not able to really go past it as long as we don't address and observe them. Again, when you do this work, you cannot force it. It's just the circumstances itself. People come and invoke certain feelings in you, certain energies come up. Now, when these things happen, the purpose is to observe the feelings and to learn to dive in them without a story, without explanation, without involving the mind. And when you just observe and stay there with the feeling without feeding it with the story or with the narrative or with any kind of ideological belief system, it dissipates. And then it dissipates again and again and again. Sometimes you cry, sometimes you get into the states of releasing. So all of that has to leave your system. And sometimes it takes years and decades, but it is a certain process. It is a sure process that you will come out on the other side. So a cycle, and when we speak about karmic cycles, they're not about human scenarios, what happens in the external reality, although that which you feel or which is within your consciousness manifests that. So it's the energy that creates all these scenarios, with the major theme running as a red line through all of them. For example, all of these, which we call lack of boundaries or self-respect or inability to say no or people pleasing, all these kind of corrupt perceptions and reflections of self towards others, or, some kind of acting, meaning not being authentic, comes from lack of self-worth, and all the humanity is plagued with that. So the trauma means that you were disempowered or overpowered at some point of time, where a sense of self-worth was stripped of you to a degree. And then you can say that you are traumatized to that degree. Now, the purpose of spiritual healing lies in the restoration or return to that sense of self-worth. And when you've restored it, that's where you know that the cycle is broken. And how do you know that? It's not a mental restoration. It's a feeling of sudden blissful emptiness, where all those people, timelines, situations just dissolve. They no longer matter. There's no invocation of any feeling within you. There is simply peace. There is bliss. Your mind turns within naturally. And sometimes when you go in search of Shaktipat or in search of spiritual awakening, maybe something may invoke these feelings in you because they're natural. This is your natural being. Certainly you have that natural sense of being in glimpses, but you're not established in it. That's why you know that you're still in a karmic cycle. And the karmic cycle means that no matter what you do or whichever way you change the external circumstances, they will persist being one and the same on an energetic level and invoke one and the same feeling or internal distortions. Now, when you emptied, when the end of cycle comes, it feels like all that which was before starts dissolving, dying within you, or you are dying to that. And because there's no more energy of that karmic cycle, everything in the external reality starts dismantling. And you feel that something new is being created. Now, this new is based on a new energy level. Whenever the karmic cycle is dissolved, you feel the upliftment, you feel that you've gained access to more energy, or you feel more energetic. There's more creative energy available to you. You feel like your mind is so absorbed, so peaceful, so blissful, and yet you have a vision. You are more aligned with who you are as consciousness beyond any ancestral or human context. And so you start being able to emanate that, and that emanation starts creating ripple effects, starts shifting your external reality and all the circumstances, and suddenly or gradually the surrounding changes. You may change residence, you may no longer be attracted to certain type of people or be in contact anymore. Everything that is of that karmic cycle falls off, and you are no longer energetically connected because you realize that energy is no longer within your consciousness, so it doesn't create this circumstances or possibility for you to be in touch with those previous energies, be them people or surroundings or even places. So, and you can't force it, you can't cheat life, you can't cheat your consciousness, because it's going through a certain process every time it incarnates here. And so when you are here, you are going through these moments where you are day to day, month to month, year to year, are facing one and the same scenarios until one day it's over, because you've emptied yourself from those. And that feels like a blissful emptiness. So, and it causes, I would say, relatively drastic or pretty fast changes on all levels. It feels like a liberation of creative energy that starts pushing you out of the karmic circumstances and present karmic circumstances. So we usually associate the phenomenon of death with something painful, but in reality, it is an energy of liberation where when you are dying throughout life, you are transforming. That's where death and transformation are one and the same thing. It's a transformation of energy. It's a dissolution of that energy that has been draining you. Now, when you're no longer drained by that energy, you are able to use or, utilize that energy towards creating a different scenario, a different pathway, different type of life for yourself, the life which is more aligned with your soul, with your unconditional self, which has the soul purpose rather than the karmic purpose. And the karmic purpose is the past. So you come out of the past, you come out of the past circumstances, past scenarios, which have been driving your life until now. So a lot of people at the moment are actually ending these karmic cycles, or wrap up the karmic cycle. But it's not yet there. So you may still feel that in certain points, the energy of that past is still coming over or veiling you from time to time, maybe not that intensely. So if it takes place, it means you haven't finished the cycle, you're still in that. But you are in the process. And the less reactive you become, the less emotion, the less feelings you have towards one and the same scenario. These are all the signs that you are heading towards the end of the cycle. So all those hooks within are dissolving. And from my standpoint, we can look at life from the standpoint of career, relationships, like places of residence or, something else. But in reality, everything is rooted at the point of self-worth. And self-worth is not something mental. It's a sense of being wholesome. It's the energy of wholesomeness. And this is the major lesson of this cycle in this day and age. And whenever the energy of this unwholesomeness permeates your existence, the more you feel the pain of this cycle, or it reinforces it. So the consciousness keeps on creating the circumstances that will reinforce. And so we can't have this change through the mind. We can utilize all kinds of manifestation techniques. We can try to manipulate our own feelings or manipulate ourselves into some kind of beliefs and ideologies, but it won't work, because if something is broken within, it has to be dissolved or restored so that the wholesomeness is restored. You cannot help it with a band-aid. The same thing applies to the spiritual refinement process. You can't force it. You can't imitate it. You can maybe create a feeling for a moment and change something, but it won't last. It's not permanent, because you will still come back to that feeling again and again. And then suddenly you see that all those positive changes that you've created and that have been maybe lasting perhaps for some months or days, they are again collapsing into the karmic cycle, which permeates, because the energy of the karmic cycle takes over, because it has different layers. And that's why the process of a refinement is multidimensional, and it has different layers and subtleties until it's completely finished. And when it's finished, you cannot undo it. You know it. You're so rooted and grounded in this sort of unspoken wholesomeness, self-worth. You are emanating that natural being, blissful emptiness, that sense of self-worth without really proclaiming it or looking for external validation. Your mind is simply dissolved. It's like a tool that is there, but it's not used because consciousness is now aligned with the body. The consciousness starts regenerating, healing the body, and you remain in that blissful being, that absorption. That's how you know that you finish the cycle. It's not coming and going feeling of absorption. It's not the absorption for 15, 20, 30 minutes or even one day. It is constant. It is constant. That's how you know that you finished the karmic cycle. I hope that this video brought clarity to many of you and also encourage. And if you're not in the state where you are in this blissful absorption, maybe you are going through suffering, going through some kind of challenging moments because you are still in the process of dissolution of the karmic cycle, this should encourage you. It's going to pass. It's going to change. The most important is that the mature mind is prepared to face all of that and to let it go instead of holding on to it, instead of going to therapies or some kind of people who would just reinforce the idea of the past trauma, instead of actually creating circumstance for releasing it. So we just got it all wrong. And at this point, we are in the process of getting it right and in a simple way where we don't need to complicate anything. We just need to shift. The end of the cycle is when your consciousness shifts within, returns to its original state. And when you return and you choose yourself, that is the self-worth restoration. You choose your wholesomeness. All the other aspects of your reality which are of karmic nature, start dissolving. And so this transmission is here to help you, to support you in the process. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. Do not give power to timelines. Just this very present moment. Let go. Let go and experience something that you've always been, or someone, and you will start emanating a different energy. When your energy shifts, the changes, the positive changes, the healing, the circumstances, the residences, the partnerships all shift towards what's aligned with your soul, towards what's right for you, beyond any past karmic cycles or collective ancestral residues. Thank you very much. Many blessings to everyone. And thank you to all the subscribers and new members. Bye.